maybe I'm biased here. I thought that was an incredible game. I thought initially it was like it lacked a few big plays, but my goodness, the pendulum, momentum, that was a 1970s, 1980s style game for a while. Doesn't mean it can't be a part of this year either, but I thought that was a fantastic game. Both quarterbacks threw deadly picks, except the one that Aller threw at the end was the one that ended up costing them the game.
Yeah, both of the ones that, Aller threw two that didn't count because Notre Dame got penalties called on them. The first one was more legit than the second one, but I understand why they called the second one because, if I'm standing behind it, it looked more like pass interference than it actually wound up being. But the game was fantastic. I was like watching a game in 1988. I mean, it really felt like that because neither team was really throwing the ball all that much, and Notre Dame threw it better than Penn State did, which was a bit of a surprise to me. Penn State has no big-time playmakers on the outside at wide receiver. They didn't even target a wide receiver until I think the late in the third quarter or early in the fourth, and no catches from wide receivers in the game, which was mind-boggling when it comes down to it, but running the ball kept both teams in it, and Notre Dame just has kind of a bit of a team of destiny vibe right now.
Yeah, I mean, it was a game that started off, I was a little bit concerned we were going to have like an LSU-Alabama situation, like a 6-0 type game early on, and I was concerned that was going to be a bit of a bad look for the semifinal round, but it ended up being a hell of an entertaining game and really enjoyable. As a fan of either team, I could just sit back and watch to see who advanced and enjoyed every second of it, and could not believe it when Drew Aller threw that interception there late. And then yet again I could, because like you said, Paul, he had thrown a couple. He's can be a guy that does that from time to time, but man alive, in that moment, in that situation, at that time of the game, my jaw hit the floor.
Get ready for epic savings at Best Buy. Right now, you can save up to $700 on select Alienware and Dell gaming products. Perfect for leveling up your gaming experience. Plus, grab the latest Android Google Pixel at an unbeatable price. Don't miss these incredible deals. Shop now at bestbuy.com and upgrade your tech today.
When he threw that pick, and so I know he was in the post game and he was shaken up and obviously not feeling like things were all that great last night, but man alive, what a season by Penn State. Mm-hmm. No reason to hang their heads, but the no passes to a wide receiver, I mean, that's just silly. Like, that's just, especially in today, like, I know tight ends matter a lot in today's game, but like wide receivers matter a lot too. They've got great running backs. They've got great tight ends. They were controlling the line of scrimmage early. But yeah, that no passes to wide receivers was just a bizarre stat coming out of that game last night, and probably ultimately cost them in some ways, being a little bit two-dimensional as opposed to three-dimensional. But yeah, that was an awesome game. Notre Dame in the Natty, and with a chance to go win one, and we'll see who they meet later on tonight. I'm looking forward to this game especially. I mean, as much as I was looking forward to last night's, this is a game that I've had circled, and I think probably a lot of people have, is this Ohio State-Texas game. So hopefully they can match last night's intensity and entertainment value, and I expect that they will.
Go ahead.
I'm not one to feel bad for James Franklin, but I do feel just as someone, if you look at it, he is risk-averse as a coach. I mean, he is old school, and he's going to lower down those things as much as he can. And the least James Franklin thing I've ever seen is getting the ball back with less than a minute, running the ball for a first down, and then deciding, hey, let's grip it and rip it for a second. So I wonder if he just went like, this is why I don't do this. This is why I don't go get crazy. This is when bad things happen. That's what I wonder about that, because
did you see his reaction on the sideline? Like, he bent over with hands on his knees, like just sick
probably
to
was
his
about to throw
stomach.
up. Like, who would not be about to throw up in that situation?
Absolutely.
But I think I don't know if it's unfair. I guess people can debate this, but it didn't take but 5 seconds when that game was finished or was looking like, it's pretty much over. The seconds are ticking off. This game's going to end the way that it does. It took no time at all for ESPN to go, James Franklin can't win the big one, see? Well, and it's like, is he not in the semifinals of the damn college football playoff? Like, I get they had to, beat Boise State and SMU, and in the eyes of people, that's not all that impressive. But, I mean, come on now, like to act like he still hasn't done anything at this point. Just that's going in line with like the poor opinions of ESPN this bowl season of just some of the things they've said where they're kind of setting these narratives or just reinforcing them that I just picked up on a lot more. And that at that time, I get where they're going with it, but I was just like, really? Like after that game, that's the first thing that comes to mind is James Franklin can't win the big one still? I didn't think that was in great taste.
For many years, they said Bobby Bowden, Tom Osborne, and others couldn't win the big game. They eventually won multiple. Mack couldn't win one either. So we mentioned Drew Aller and the pick, which was also, let's not forget, a great play by the defensive back to dive and make that play and not let it hit the ground. He made a great play. Let's go. Craig brought up the wide receivers, Garrett. Let's first of all go to Jeremiah Love, who was fantastic. Remember, he had the knee injury, had an incredibly physical game, ran over a couple of guys at the goal line. Asked after the game by Pete Sampson, theathletic.com, about was there ever a point during the week that you didn't know, could you trust your knee? Not really, not any day. I just kind of came out here and said blanket and went out there and played. He had the leaping play, didn't get an extra yard or two out of it, I guess, but he was fantastic, and so was Singleton, the running back at Penn State. They both ran very physical. And then this one with the wide receivers that Craig brought up. This is kind of hard to believe. No receptions. None. None of the receivers, wide receivers, some say, well, they had guys running free. Not a single wide receiver, not on a little quick hit, whatever, did they have a wide receiver at Penn State catch. Although Warren is like a hybrid of what he does, the tight end, fullback, etc. But that is kind of a hard stat to believe in this day and age of football.
Yeah, I mean, it's been – Les Miles had the I can't get a quarterback. Lately for James Franklin, it's been he can't get wide receivers. Because tell me what position. Look, Drew Aller didn't have his best game last night, but most people would love to have a quarterback like Drew Aller. He has two stud running backs that were over 1,000 yards this year. He has a man-child of a tight end in Tyler Warren who can do anything. The defensive line is tough as nails. Those two ends, Sutton and Carter, are unbelievable. I mean, that is fantastic. Good secondary, good linebackers, everything across the board but wide receivers. They've not done that well. They've not recruited it well. And I wouldn't be surprised if a position coach change isn't coming on at that one. If you were to make a tweak to Penn State's staff in the offseason, I mean, you can't make too many. I mean, they're in the dadgum semifinal. But if you wanted to say, like, okay, we need to push something out, we need to change something up, I would bet you'd be wide receivers.
It's hard to imagine, though, that you did a slip screen or something. But, again, they also, I thought Notre Dame was in deep kimchi in that first half until they had the drive at the end to kick the field goal. Penn State was bigger and better, faster, stronger. Singleton's run, very powerful. He had another one later on. But I thought Penn State was without question the better team in the first half. That field goal at the end of the half that led to that 10-3, and then, of course, they came out the Irish and played so much loose and free. When it comes to offense, it turned out to be one heck of a game with big plays left and right. Penn State in the first two scoring drives, 14 plays, 55 yards, and took almost 5 minutes off the clock. They kicked a field goal. 15 plays, 90 yards that took 7 minutes plus off the clock and scored a touchdown. And in one of the comments, I said, boys are eating in the trenches. They look really good, I thought, in the first half and even at points in the second half, but they just could not keep that dominance going because Notre Dame countered with what they did in the second half.
Yeah, I mean, as much talked about it being a little bit of a tussle there early on and looking like it was shaping up to be like a 6-0 style football game. It did also look there for a moment like Penn State was about to just beat their ass. I thought Penn State was just going to go out there and just make this look pretty easy there in the first half. And like you said, Notre Dame got the score right there before the break. I think that was absolutely massive for them. And then obviously the second half then goes the way that it does, and you had a bit of a different feeling going in the locker room. But, yeah, there were times early on where it looked like Notre Dame was going to be in some trouble, like their line wasn't going to be able to hold up against Penn State on either side of the ball, but especially that O-line, obviously. Just really not looking good there early on. But, hey, they got it together. Give Marcus Freeman a hell of a lot of credit. Give Riley Leonard, a little bit of credit. Like, he was not great by any means, but had some tough plays in there. And obviously they've got some dudes at the skill positions and some guys who stepped up big and made some big plays for them last night. So that was a really fun game. And yeah, I enjoyed every minute of that one, although it just kind of ebbed and flowed and didn't go exactly the way I thought at different points. But that was kind of part of the fun was, hey, this looks like it's about to be a really low-scoring game. No, they're going to score some points. This looks like it's going to be a Penn State win. No, just get ready right before half, and then from then on, it's going to be a much different game. So, yeah, that was crazy.
When Leonard threw the pick, that looked like that could be a dagger. Penn State scored on that. And then, of course, we mentioned the Aller pick at the end of the game with, a minute and something, whatever minutes left on a great play. Here's a note about Penn State's receivers. I saw this today in USA Today. Harrison Wallace III, Omari Evans combined, 67 catches for 1,135 yards and 9 touchdowns. Jeremiah Smith, the freshman who plays tonight, had 70 catches for 1,224 yards and 14 touchdowns. Of course, he's like Randy Moss, superhuman as a freshman, and he will test Texas and vice versa. They've got a really good secondary. Will be fun to see how they kind of find a way to get him open or find a way to bracket him and make somebody else make the plays. Also, Abdul Carter. I made the comment yesterday because I have not in any way, shape, or form really even thought about it. We'll have John Cooper coming on starting in the next week or two from Our Lad's Guide to the NFL Draft. And I kind of made the comment, he's kind of a top 10 or 15 guy. And both of you, if all 3 cameras could be on all 3 of us at one time, you would have had this look of, you're an idiot. Yeah. He turned pro after that game. I love him. Think about LeVar Arrington, wore 11. Micah Parsons wore 11. Abdul Carter wore 11. He is injured. His shoulder is hurt. He got held about 10 times, but again, a lot of times that's going to happen. He was absolutely dynamic, and I love the way I don't know who's going to get him, but they look like they're going to get a great player.
In the first half, Abdul Carter and Denai Dennis Sutton were keeping Notre Dame completely befuddled. They could not, anytime that Riley Leonard dropped back to pass, they were running stunts. Those 2 guys were unbelievable. Denai Dennis Sutton had that interception as he dropped back in coverage. He's probably a second-round guy, I would think, Sutton. Abdul Carter is a second-pick type guy. As a matter of fact, it would not I think the Titans are going to draft Ward or Sanders. And I think the Browns, especially given the news today about Deshaun Watson, which I didn't think he was going to play for them ever again anyway, they were just going to kind of make him the backup until they could get out of that contract reasonably without the massive cap hit. But I'm pretty sure that whoever doesn't draft, quarterback A will draft quarterback B. And then that 3rd pick with the Patriots or Giants, whoever it is, that's probably Abdul Carter because the quarterbacks are gone.
Well, it's really unfortunate to hear about Deshaun Watson. That's really too bad. Anyways, Abdul Carter was a freaking machine. I mean, my God, man. Yeah. What a stud. And to think that he wasn't even 100%, to think that there was some doubt he was going to play, he wasn't going to play in that game. And for him to play and play that well and be as ferocious as he was, especially early in that game, you saw why that was such a talking point all throughout the week, why he's going to be such a talking point and name discussed moving forward when it comes to the draft. That dude's a dog, and no surprise to see him make it official and declare for the draft today with his season wrapped up. That's a no-brainer, and was going to be regardless of whatever his status was, I think, heading into that game. But definitely felt like he left it all out there last night and gave what he had, and it was enough to make a difference in that game at multiple points, just not enough overall for the team, just given the way the game ultimately went. But, yeah, he's definitely going to be a guy we watch for a long time on Sundays.